After being pushed down the steps by the noble consort and suffering a miscarriage, my memory remains stuck at the age of 12. Everything in the palace felt unfamiliar to me, and I cried and screamed, begging to leave. Xiao Yang thought I was playing hard to get, trying to force him to yield, so he came before me, intending to scold me. I was utterly terrified, feeling as though he was like the king of hell from the storyteller's tales, cold and frightening. Yuan, I'm scared. Hello. Everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. I hid behind the consort who had come with Xiao Yang, calling out her childhood name, keeping several steps away from Xiao Yang. The palace servants all knelt down, not daring to look up at Xiao Yang's already gloomy face. Everyone in the palace knew that the empress and the consort were mortal enemies, yet we once lay on the same bed, sharing our hopes for the future. Back then, the young men we admired were not Xiao Yang. I only remember stumbling and falling into the lake while flying a kite, and when I woke up, father, mother, and my elder brother were no longer by my side. In their place was an old nanny, who kept calling me Your Majesty. I'm only 12. I haven't even become a mother yet. I'm not even old enough to participate in the selection, so I couldn't possibly be a palace consort, could I? The matron was so stunned that she rushed out in a hurry to call the imperial physician. The imperial physician. This time it was my turn to be stunned. I timidly looked at the sister beside me, whose eyes were swollen like walnuts, and asked her who I was. She fell to her knees with a thud, startling me. Your Majesty, you are the Empress. You are 22 this year, and you entered the palace 5 years ago. Your Highness, have you forgotten everything? As she spoke, her tears fell like rain. 17, the age I was supposed to be married. The one I am betrothed to is Xie Zhuling, the eldest son of the general who guards the nation. The Xie family is loyal to the sovereign and devoted to the country. They would never commit treason. The emperor could not possibly be Xie Zhuling. And the emperor in my memory was an old man even older than my father. Summoning all my courage, I asked again, who is the emperor now? I am but a lowly servant, unworthy of addressing His Majesty by name. The emperor is the 6th son of the late emperor, formerly known as Prince Chun. Prince Chun, Xiao Yang. Unwanted memories instantly flashed through my mind. That year, I followed my elder brother to the hunting grounds for the autumn hunt. My brother thought I was too young and went off to hunt foxes by himself. I found a clearing to fly a kite, but the string snapped, and the kite fell. When I looked up, I saw someone falling from the cliff. Looking further up, there was a person standing at the edge of the cliff. That morning, my brother specifically took me to meet someone. He was the 6th prince, Xiao Yang. Later, I learned that the 7th prince, born of the empress, had fallen off a cliff and died. That night, I was so frightened that I developed a high fever, and my brother took me back to the residence overnight. I told my parents about it, but my father told me to forget it. Wanwan. This matter concerns the lives of the Zhao family. You must not mention it again. When I came to my senses, I was already drenched in cold sweat. Mother said it was from fright. What is wrong with Your Highness? That sister leaned over to wipe the sweat off my forehead. This matter is clearly Consort Liu's fault. She caused your miscarriage. Yet the emperor only believes her one-sided story and even says that Your Highness wasn't careful enough. Your Highness, what should we do now? I was a bit puzzled. Clearly, I was the one who was hurt, yet she was crying even more sorrowfully than I was. Perhaps I was truly afraid of Xiao Yang, but hearing this, I felt a hint of relief instead. The palace-maid sister told me a lot. She said her name was Chuanshu, Chun as in spring, Shu as in willow catkins. Chuanshu was the first friend I made in the palace. We actually entered the palace in the same year. Xiao Yang did not like me. He had a noble consort, Lady Liu, who had shared hardships with him. Every time I had a dispute with the noble consort, he would always take her side. Even this time was no exception. It's okay, I'm not sad, so you shouldn't be upset either. I imitated the way my mother comforted me and wiped away her tears. It's true that I'm not sad, I'm just scared whenever I see Xiao Yang. Your Highness, the nanny returned with the imperial physician. Chuanshu said the nanny's surname is Lin and that she has been in the palace for many years. She also said that Lin was actually sent by Xiao Yang to keep an eye on me. Is Xiao Yang afraid I might do something wrong? But no matter how bad I am, I would never harm my own brother. I shook my head at the imperial physician who had come. I don't want any physician, I'm terrified of taking medicine. Nanny Lin, tell Xiao, the emperor, since he doesn't like me and doesn't cherish me, he might as well let me go home. No sooner had they spoken than they all knelt down, especially Mother Lin, who even urged me to think twice. What is there to think twice about? First thought, Xiao Yang is a murderous demon. I have long been betrothed, he does not like me. Every thought makes it impossible for me to stay in the palace. Just tell him, I will no longer be the empress, since he likes Lady Liu. Let her take the position. The palace is so empty, eerie and cold, I don't like it. Without my brother, father, and mother, and still being bullied, it's truly unfair. I didn't take the medicine. Nor did I eat. Imitating the way my mother scolded the servants, I ordered Nanny Lin to pass a message to Xiao Yang for me. He should agree. After all, he doesn't like me either. Nanny Lin was gone for a long time, so long that I fell asleep. In my dream, I was still living in the Xie residence, and my brother bullied me, snatching away the new kite I had just bought. Fortunately, Xie Zuling's martial arts skills were better than my brother's, so he snatched me back home. My brother was so angry that he stirred up a commotion, urging Xie Zuling to marry me that very day. I blushed with embarrassment and ran to tell my mother, and my brother got scolded again. Xie Zuling, remember you're supposed to marry me. I woke up before I could finish my words. Still the unfamiliar canopy above, lavish yet cold. Nanny Lin and Chuanshu were both dumbfounded, exchanging glances but unsure how to react. Your Highness, you must not say such things again. Yesterday, the Emperor was furious after hearing your words. Do not mention leaving the palace again, like my father used to. Mother Lin spoke in a very stern tone. But I don't understand, what does Xiao Yang have to be angry about? Wasn't I the one who was wronged? As the saying goes, even the Buddha has a temper. I couldn't help myself and had Chuanshu help me change clothes, wanting to go confront Xiao Yang. Although I was afraid of him, I was even more afraid of not being able to leave the palace. I've heard stories from the inner chambers. Many women who weren't favored by their husbands lived miserable lives. They even died alone, with no one to remember them. I don't want to become like that. I still wanted to run and ask Xie Zhuling why he didn't keep his promise. Just as I mustered the courage to step out of the bedchamber, Xiao Yang arrived. From the sound of it, Consort Liu has also come. My heart pounded anxiously in my chest, my hands clenched tightly. Xie Zhuling once said that when two armies face off, the first thing they compare is morale. Wanwan, you cannot lose. But just as I was pulled down to kneel and then stood up by Chuanshu, what I saw was Liu Ningyue's face. She, like me, has also grown up. She looks even more beautiful than before. Chuanshu lied to me. Consort Liu is not a bad woman at all. Ningyue is my good friend. Our families have always been close, and I grew up with her. Her childhood name was Yuan Yuan, and mine was Wanwan. We were like two sides of the moon, different from each other, yet we understood each other best. My nose tingled with emotion, and I was the first to give in. Tears just kept falling, startling everyone. Who is the Empress putting on such an act for? A sharp voice came through, startling me. Tears streamed from my eyes, and the figure before me gradually came into focus. It was a face as gloomy as could be, like the king of hell from the storybooks. Xiao Yang looked even more frightening than I remembered. I quickly hid behind Yuan Yuan. Yuan Yuan, I'm scared. I've always been timid. But Yuan Yuan has been brave since childhood. For instance, now she can face Xiao Yang with perfect composure, while I can only tremble behind her. Before a storm arrives, dark clouds always gather. Just like the expression on Xiao Yang's face now. Before he could speak, the kneeling Nanny Lin spoke first. Your Majesty, Her Highness has injured her head and only remembers being 12 years old now. Nanny Lin pressed her forehead to the ground, her body trembling like a sieve. Xiao Yang looked strangely at me as he tried to bypass Yuan Yuan to see me. Frightened, I pulled Yuan Yuan and spun around in circles. After several turns, his expression turned grim again. Whether the Empress has amnesia or not, summon the imperial physician to find out at once. Yuan Yuan was truly Yuan Yuan. The moment she spoke, Xiao Yang immediately calmed down, like a cat that had just been soothed. I'm most afraid of cats. But strangely, she was cold and distant toward me as well. Could it really be, as Chuanshu said, that we just don't get along? There must be some misunderstanding in this. Mother says that between husband and wife, everything must be spoken clearly, or misunderstandings will accumulate over time and eventually turn into resentment. I think it's the same with friends. Before the imperial physician arrived, Yuanyuan pulled me into the bedchamber. The sound of the door slamming shut was so loud it made my heart tremble. What kind of act is Her Majesty the Empress trying to put on? She shook off my hand, her tone icy cold. Yuanyuan, why are you also calling me Empress like the others? I never wanted to be an Empress. I want to leave the palace. I want to go home. Yuanyuan let out a cold laugh. Don't you think it's too late to say these words now, Zhao Yumei? Wasn't it you who insisted on entering the palace to compete with me for the position of Empress back then? How is that possible? I shook my head vigorously. I would never want to be the Empress. I don't like Xiao Yang. Yuanyuan, I'm afraid of him. He's a terrifying person. Yuanyuan and I shared everything with each other. From clothing and jewelry to family matters. Only in the matter of Xiao Yang was she kept in the dark, because father said that knowing this would only bring disaster. I didn't want Yuanyuan's family to get hurt. Aren't you the scary one? Yuanyuan is still very angry. I once trusted you the most. But this is how you treat me. Zhao Yumei, from the day you entered the palace, we have been enemies. I have never seen Yuanyuan like this before. It's a bit frightening and makes one afraid to approach. Yuanyuan, I don't know why we've become like this, but I won't. Now you know. She cut me off. Don't call me Yuanyuan anymore. It makes me sick. With that, she walked away without looking back. The door was open, and I watched her walk towards Xiao Yang. My face felt cool to the touch. I realized I was crying. After Yuanyuan left, Xiao Yang had the imperial physician come in to take my pulse. Perhaps, like Yuanyuan, he thought I was pretending to have amnesia. You are too weak to carry the child to term. It has nothing to do with the noble consort. If you hold any resentment, direct it at me. He said something utterly baffling. I know, Yuanyuan would never harm me, I retorted, glared at him, then ducked my head back down. It's really scary. I don't know how Yuanyuan ended up liking this kind of person. The old imperial physician withdrew his hand and stroked his beard again. Your Highness, the blood clot in your brain hasn't dissipated, which is causing temporary amnesia. Xiao Yang was very surprised and even turned to look at me. His gaze remained fixed on me, making me feel utterly tormented. You see, I wasn't lying. I want to leave the palace. I don't like it here. Since His Majesty doesn't like me either, why force me to stay? I mustered the courage to meet his eyes, only to find him even more surprised than before. Empress, why not ask yourself at this moment? If you truly wished to leave the palace, why did you become pregnant with my child? Xiao Yang narrowed his eyes and retorted with a cold laugh. So our child is gone. I instinctively reached to touch my belly. Mother said that before my brother and I were born, we lived in her belly. When I was inside, I was very disobedient. She often vomited and couldn't eat. Father felt very distressed and even once considered not letting me be born. I met Xiao Yang's puzzled gaze and told him what mother had once said to me. A child not expected by their parents is unwilling to come into this world. The child wasn't harmed by Yuanyuan. It left on its own. Nonsense. Xiao Yang retorted to me. He also said that I am currently suffering from amnesia and lack the ability to manage the imperial harem, let alone attend palace banquets and risk becoming a laughingstock. So he asked me to hand over the Phoenix Seal to Yuanyuan. And until my memory is restored, all palace banquets will be hosted by Yuanyuan. That's wonderful. As I spoke, I opened the cabinet and handed the Phoenix Seal to Chunshu, instructing her to make sure it was delivered to Yuanyuan. If only Yuanyuan could be the Empress instead. This way, she probably won't be angry with me anymore. Before you turned 12, had I ever met you? I don't know when Xiao Yang appeared behind me, but he gave me quite a fright. I ended up bumping into the cabinet, and it hurt so much I couldn't even process what had happened. It took me a moment to realize I hadn't answered Xiao Yang's question. No, even if I had seen it, I could only say I hadn't. Then why are you so afraid of me? Suddenly marrying someone so much older than me. How could I not be afraid? Xiao Yang watched as Zhao Yu gave him a glare, then fearfully hid behind the palace maid. His eyes darted around, clearly showing he was lying, yet the disdain in his tone was unmistakably real. He was utterly guileless, as simple as a blank sheet of paper. Xiao Yang finally believed that she had indeed lost her memory. Yet he was only 26, just 4 years older than her. If calculated according to her current memory, he was indeed more than a dozen years older than her. Your Majesty, the Empress has lost her memory and misspoke. Please forgive her, Your Majesty. Nanny Lin, fearing he might get angry again, pulled Zhao Yumei down to kneel with her. From time to time, she would glance up at him, only to quickly lower her eyes again with a timid expression. Forget it, why get angry with a child? Xiao Yang told himself this. Rise. I will not hold accountable for any words the Empress spoke before she regained her memory, but leaving the palace is absolutely out of the question. Why? Zhao Yumei spoke with dissatisfaction, her voice instantly softening the moment her eyes met his. Xiao Yang did not respond, as she would remember sooner or later anyway. For several days in a row, Matron Lin came to report Zhao Yumei's activities to him as usual. She no longer hovered around him every day. Besides finding ways to dump her medicine, she often went to the consort's palace. She mostly brought along things that children enjoy, like kites and kuju balls. The funniest thing was that Xiao Yang's bedchamber was located between hers and the consort's, and she always chose to go around it. Vermilion ink bled across the paper after Mother Lin informed him that Zhao Yumei had secretly poured out her medicine again. How many times is this? Xiao Yang didn't realize the anxiety that had crept into his tone. 5th time, murmured Nanny Lin in a low voice. Will the medicine still be effective then? How could you fail to keep an eye on a mere child? The anger was even fiercer than when she first heard the Empress was leaving the palace. Nanny Lin had long since knelt down, defending herself. I never imagined it would be so difficult. Perhaps, it would be better if the noble consort persuades the Empress, Nanny Lin said with gritted teeth. Everyone in the palace knows that Consort Liu is the Emperor's dearest love. Yet, the conflict between the former Empress and the consort has always been open and relentless, never ceasing. But now, it seems to be the only way. Since the consort has just taken charge of the rear palace, why bother her with such trivial matters? What time does the Empress take her medicine? I will go and see. Your Highness, are you really not going to drink a single sip of this medicine? No, it's too bitter. I don't want to become the version of myself that Yuanyuan despises, and I especially don't want to face Xiao Yang. Your Highness, Consort Liu is truly not a good person. It's because of her that His Majesty fails to see your virtues. You've been so devoted to His Majesty. Enough, Chuanshu, you are not allowed to speak ill of Yuanyuan. I don't like Xiao Yang, I hate him the most. He looks so scary, just as terrifying as before. Xiao Yang stood outside the door, watching the figure in the window tremble slightly with that sigh. He lowered his head and smiled silently. He didn't know whether to feel helpless or angry. Was it scary before? She had clearly seen him, yet she was lying. Just as he was about to push the door open, he heard someone inside say, "Oh, Chuanshu, what are you afraid of? He can't be so perverted as to eavesdrop on me. Can he? Didn't you say he's always been cold to me? How could he possibly come looking for me?" Her hand rested on the door but did not push it open. She was right. He did not like her, always bowing her head and trying to please him. Her tricks were rigid and dull, lacking any charm. Most importantly, making her the Empress was not his wish. Mammy Lin, standing by, dared not even breathe, her heart already in her throat. Have another bowl of medicine prepared. Tell the Empress that if she is caught pouring out another bowl, her head maid will be punished with 10 strokes of the rod. Xiao Yang couldn't understand why he had come today. Indeed, he did not like the Empress. There are plenty of ways to make her obediently take the medicine. Understood? Nanny Lin responded and glanced worriedly toward the room, only to see Xiao Yang walk away without looking back. I think Xiao Yang wants to kill me. That medicine isn't meant to treat my amnesia at all. After drinking it, I felt very dizzy and had a long dream. I dreamed of returning to that autumn hunt, where the kite fell into the abyss. Someone fell, along with the kite. When I looked up again, Xiao Yang was gazing at me. He furrowed his brows, his jaw tight. Just like the first time we met after I turned 22, in a daze. It wasn't the 7th prince who fell, but Yuanyuan. Looking back, father, mother, and brother were all tied at Xiao Yang's feet. If you don't take the medicine, they will all die. Although Xiao Yang was far away from me, I could hear him clearly. No, don't. I suddenly opened my eyes, tears blurring my vision so I could hardly see anything. only vaguely making out a familiar figure. Yuan Yuan, are you okay? I held her tight, tears streaming down without stopping. Yuan Yuan always used to say I was useless, always crying, but I was just so scared. What could possibly happen to me? She sighed helplessly. But you really scared us. As she spoke, she helped me sit up. She placed her palm on my forehead, just like Mother used to do. Finally, the fever is gone. Yuan Yuan relaxed her expression and smiled. This was the first time she had smiled at me since we met. Still as beautiful as before. No, even more beautiful than before. I laughed too, because Yuan Yuan was finally no longer angry with me. When I finally realized that the bedchamber I was in was unfamiliar, I also saw Xiao Yang. He was just like in the dream, with a dark and terrifying expression. Why is your majesty here? I'm so afraid he'll punish Yuan Yuan because I didn't obey. I'm so afraid the dream will come true. Xiao Yang let out a cold laugh, inching closer and closer to me. Empress, this is the consort's bedchamber. You tell me, why am I here? Your majesty, the empress has lost her memory. Why trouble her with these matters? Yuan Yuan interrupted Xiao Yang, her tone gentle, nothing like her former self. The empress has just recovered from her fever, and she was caught in the rain last night. If we rush her back now, she might catch a chill again. In 2 days, it will be the Mid-Autumn Palace banquet. If the empress is absent, it may arouse suspicion among others. I didn't quite understand what Yuan Yuan said. Xiao Yang probably didn't understand either, which is why he left in a huff. Why am I here? You really don't remember anything at all. Yuan Yuan sighed again, looking helpless. You sleepwalked here, saying you were looking for me in the rain. You're still holding the wooden hairpin I gave you before. I followed her gaze and saw that there was indeed a wooden hairpin by the bedside. I found it in a locked cabinet in the bedchamber. Yuan Yuan and I have been inseparable since we could remember, and we always loved going out to the streets together. Back when we were still very young, we couldn't resist stopping at any stall selling carved trinkets. Our nanny had no choice but to let each of us pick one. I picked one for Yuan Yuan. And Yuan Yuan picked one for me. Mother said the wooden hairpin was too plain and never let me wear it, so I could only put the wooden hairpin away. I never expected that I would bring it into the palace and even lock it away. I don't think I did anything wrong. I'm not at all like what Chuanchu said, that I dislike Yuan Yuan. Yuan Yuan is still my best friend. There must be some misunderstanding between us. Xiaohuot file anti-piracy. Find the book robot and choose Xiaohu, stable and reliable. No pitfalls. Then, have you forgiven me? I tugged at her sleeve and asked her quietly, drink the medicine, and I'll tell you. Yuan Yuan didn't answer me, just handed me a bowl of dark, murky medicine. It smelled bitter just from the scent. I don't want to drink it. You'll only get better if you drink it. Yuan Yuan patiently persuaded me, even producing a stick of candied hawthorn from behind. This was something we used to buy when we sneaked out to play. I licked my lips, craving it. All right. I'll drink it, but I didn't drink it because of the candied hawthorn. I drank it because of you, Yuan Yuan. Yuan Yuan smiled until her eyes disappeared. Yes, yes, yes. I pinched my nose and drank the medicine in one go. The medicine was really bitter, but luckily there was candied hawthorn. Yuan Yuan, have you forgiven me? Of course, I haven't forgotten the main matter at hand. How could I ever dislike 12-year-old Yuan Yuan? When you remember, you might not want to see me anymore. Yuan Yuan smiled, but it didn't look quite the same as before. Like my medicine, it looks bitter. Your Highness, it's time to take your medicine. Just as she finished drinking, the round-faced maid brought another bowl of medicine. It smelled even worse. I just finished one bowl. Can I wait a while before drinking this one? Yuan Yuan was finally happy. Silly girl, this is my medicine. With that, she picked up the medicine bowl and drank it all in one go. She didn't even need to eat a candied hawthorn stick. Yuan Yuan, aren't you afraid of the bitterness anymore? I remember she used to be afraid of bitterness just like me. And she also loved eating candied hawthorn skewers as much as I did. Once you get used to it, it doesn't taste bitter anymore. How is that possible? I didn't quite believe it. But why do you need to take medicine? And you're used to it. Are you also sick? Or have you not recovered yet? Did Xiao Yang, did he bully you? Neither. Yuan Yuan comforted me, glancing back at the maid. The maid took the medicine bowl and led all the palace servants away. I just want a child. Her voice gradually faded as she spoke. I suddenly thought of Yuanyuan's mother, who had always wanted to give Yuanyuan a younger brother but never succeeded. Every time Yuanyuan's father's concubine gave birth to a child, her mother would become particularly downcast. During those times, she would always send Yuanyuan to come play with me. Yuanyuan told me that once she forgot something and went back to the courtyard, only to catch her mother secretly crying. Because she had no younger brother, her father rarely came to visit her mother. Every time she says this, Yuanyuan's mood becomes very low, just like now. But she clearly said she would never marry a man like her father. Actually, I think not having children is a good thing. My mother said she was in pain for several hours when she gave birth to me. And Xiao Yang really isn't a good person, I told Yuanyuan with a serious face, but she just laughed at me. Wanwan, why do you dislike His Majesty so much? I took a deep breath and whispered to her. I've actually wanted to tell you for a long time. Xiao Yang is terrifying. Do you remember when you were 10? You went back to your hometown with Lady Liu to visit relatives and missed the autumn hunt. I imitated the adults by keeping a straight face, trying to show Yuanyuan that I was being very serious. I remember, I was actually quite envious of you at first, but then you caught a chill flying a kite and fell seriously ill, Yuanyuan recalled. But what does this have to do with His Majesty? I didn't fall ill from the wind. I fell ill because I saw Xiao Yang commit murder, and that person was his own brother. He could still bring himself to do it. Father said that if this matter were spoken of, it would endanger the lives of the Zhao household, and he forbade me from telling you. But Yuanyuan, I dreamed of you. You were also pushed down by Xiao Yang. I'm scared. Alright, Wanwan, dreams are not real. Yuanyuan stopped me from continuing. The palace environment is complex. His Majesty must have his unavoidable reasons. But, Yuanyuan shook her head at me. Do not mention this matter to anyone else. You later chose to enter the palace. So I suppose you must have thought it through. Shall we talk about something else? I felt somewhat disheartened, facing such a round face. I felt my heart swell with an uncomfortable ache. She was not happy. This place was like a cage, trapping her inside. I thought of the parrot my elder brother kept, chained by its foot yet always spouting amusing words. Those words might make others happy, but are they truly happy? Do you want to know how your father, mother, and older brother are doing now? I nodded to her. Actually, I had long heard about it from Chuanxu. My brother has been rising steadily in the court, even surpassing our father's achievements in his time. Chuanxu also said that my relationship with my maternal family is not good. I haven't read any of the letters they sent. I don't know why things have turned out this way between me, my father, my mother, and my brother. I wanted to ask them in person, but Chuanxu said that once you enter the palace, you can no longer see your family. They are all doing well. Your father and brother are highly regarded by His Majesty and are thriving in their official careers. 2 years ago, your mother received the imperial title of lady. Your elder brother married a daughter of the Wang family of Langya, and I heard they are deeply in love, treating each other with the utmost respect. Yuan's account was quite similar to what Chuanxu had told me. I always felt they were deceiving me, because Chuanxu said that I often cry, especially after burning the letter sent by the Zhao residents. If I truly felt happy for them, why would I be crying? But Chuanxu said that I don't like them now. She said that on the day I entered the palace, I cried very sadly. Why? Yuan's eyes widened in astonishment, speechless with surprise. Yuan, I wish to see them. In 2 days, there will be a palace banquet. Before it begins, they can come to have a brief gathering with you. But Xiao Yang said I shouldn't have too much contact with people. His Majesty is just afraid that you might say the wrong thing and cause unnecessary trouble. Yuanyuan comforted me. If you behave yourself these next couple of days, I believe His Majesty won't object. Behave myself. I've always been well behaved. Yes, for example. You obediently take your medicine and obediently recover. All right, I replied reluctantly. Taking those bitter medicines was one thing. But Yuanyuan even wanted me to personally tell Xiao Yang, and he even asked me to bring him my favorite pastries. What a waste. But he doesn't like me. Yuan, you go talk to him for me. I stubbornly stayed on the stool, refusing to move. If I go and speak, I'm afraid His Majesty will think you put me up to it. Since His Majesty worries about me getting hurt, he definitely won't agree. By then, if you want to go and speak to him yourself, it will be much harder, Yuanyuan said with deep concern. Alas, I sighed, I'll go, but I don't want to bring these pastries. Keep these for me to eat when I get back. Bring me a plate of jujube cakes instead. Jujube cakes? Yuanyuan was surprised. Yes, jujube cake. Make it a bit sweeter. Xiao Yang used to love eating it, I quietly told Yuanyuan. My first meeting with Xiao Yang was not during the autumn hunt, but in the palace. That year, my parents couldn't resist my crying and fussing about wanting to see the palace, so they took me to the palace banquet. The date cakes at the palace banquet were especially delicious. I ate many of them and even tucked away quite a few to bring back for my elder brother to try, but we were delayed when leaving, as my father was summoned by the late emperor to the imperial study. Mother lost her jade pendant again on the way, so I wandered around the imperial garden eating date cakes by myself. That's how I stumbled upon Xiao Yang being bullied. His date cakes were snatched away and trampled. I was too timid to step in and help. After those people left, I gave all my date cakes to Xiao Yang, who was crying with his head down. It turns out the palace isn't that great after all. People still get bullied and go hungry. Later, my mother told me that the palace is a place that devours people without spitting out the bones. In the years that followed, I never had another chance to enter the palace, and I never knew whether that bullied child was devoured by the palace or not. Fortunately, he survived, but he also learned to eat people. When the eunuch announced that Zhao Yumei was outside the imperial study, Xiao Yang was reading the memorial submitted by Xie Zhuling. Has the empress regained her memory? Since losing her memory, Zhao Yumei has been avoiding him like the plague. Today, she came specifically. Besides recovering her memory, Xiao Yang couldn't think of any other reason. According to the imperial physician, Her Majesty the Empress has not yet fully recovered. Your Majesty, shall we let Her Majesty wait as usual? The eunuch, noticing Xiao Yang's furrowed brow, was the first to speak. Let her in. In the past, Zhao Yumei had indeed visited frequently, always bringing either ginseng soup or bird's nest. Each time, Xiao Yang would have the eunuch leave her waiting outside, and within an hour she would leave on her own. The tactics of vying for favor were all too familiar to Xiao Yang from the time he could remember. He had never taken Zhao Yumei seriously, but this time, he felt it would be different. Even though she was clearly afraid of him, she came in person. What would she ask of him? Xiao Yang actually felt a bit of anticipation. Your humble servant, stammering. She couldn't even finish her sentence. No longer adorned with dazzling gold, jade, pearls, and emeralds on her head, her entire demeanor had become more subdued. The butterfly on her hairpin trembled with the movement of her eyes, as if afraid others wouldn't notice her panic. Do you have business with me? I came to bring some pastries for your Majesty. I wish to see my parents at the Mid-Autumn Palace banquet 2 days from now. The words came out bluntly, without any preamble or transition, unexpected, yet perfectly reasonable. Zhao Yumei bit her lip, not daring to look up at her. It was only when the palace maid beside her reminded her that she took the food box and walked to the table. To Xiao Yang's surprise, this time she brought jujube cakes. Xiao Yang had only eaten jujube cakes once before. It was the year his mother passed away. That year, my mother was seriously ill and couldn't swallow her medicine. On her deathbed, she craved jujube cake. It happened to be the day of the palace banquet, and among the pastries, there was a type of jujube cake, but it was made too sweet, so many were left over. Xiao Yang returned with a full load, only to run into the 7th prince and his cousins at that moment. The jujube cakes fell to the ground and were mercilessly crushed under their feet. The young Xiao Yang was utterly devastated. He couldn't understand why they wouldn't even leave a few cakes for him and his mother. He felt too ashamed to return, afraid of disappointing his mother, afraid of making her sad. He didn't know how long he had been crying, but when he looked up, a bag of date cakes lay beside him. No one was around. Xiao Yang hurried back to his mother with the date cakes, but she could no longer eat them. She wiped Xiao Yang's tears with her withered hand. Eat it, Yang, eat it and grow up quickly. It's a pity I won't be able to see it anymore. After that day, Xiao Yang never ate jujube cake again. He did not intentionally forbid this item from appearing before him, he simply never tasted it. The secret had long been buried with the departure of the 7th prince, and even those who served Xiao Yang closely were unaware of it. Perhaps she simply wanted to eat the jujube cake. So you're giving this to me to seek forgiveness? Xiao Yang took a bite of the date cake with confusion. It was sweet, just as sweet as it was back then. The truth told him that Zhao Yumei knew about what happened that year. She was the one who left the jujube cake, but she had never mentioned this to him. Zhao Yumei, whose memories remained at the age of 12, knew he would like jujube cake. Could it be that Zhao Yumei, who spent every day and night thinking about how to win favor and please? No, she just didn't want to use this to her advantage. I don't want to truly compete for favor, that's why I only put on a superficial act, to make him grow tired of it. The date cake in my mouth is sweet, but Xiao Yang finds it bitter, just like many years ago. For many years, the person he had been searching for was right before his eyes, and he had already hurt her countless times, but she didn't care. The attendants will arrange for them to enter the palace early to have a brief reunion with you. Xiao Yang wanted to ask her why she had helped him back then, but now seemed so afraid and disgusted by him, yet he didn't know where to begin. Really, thank you, Your Majesty. She was both surprised and delighted. Her eyes lit up, brimming with a radiant smile. It was a stark contrast to the rigid and formal impression she had of the Empress. Zhao Yumei walked away quickly, clearly not wanting to stay in the imperial study a moment longer. It turned out that the 1 or 2 hours she had once spent waiting outside the door had been moments of contentment for her. Lowering her head, she saw the same memorial again, but when her gaze fell upon the name of the submitter, the 3 characters Xie Zhuling took on a different meaning. I immediately shared this good news with Yuanyuan. I also brought her the 2 prescriptions I found in the cabinet of my bedchamber. Chuanshu said these were the medicines I had been taking all along. Yuanyuan has never had a child of her own. It must be because the prescriptions were wrong. Is this your prescription? Yuanyuan looked at the words on it in disbelief, her hands trembling. Yes, I've been taking it all along. I secretly brought it for you. Don't I have a child now? I think this medicine should be more effective than what you've been drinking. But you mustn't tell Chuanshu, she still thinks you're a bad person. Before she could finish, Yuanyuan hugged me. Wanwan, I'm sorry. From the sound of her voice, it seemed like she was crying, probably from being too moved. You don't have to say sorry, we are sisters for life. I will never blame you. I patted her back to comfort her. After you meet your parents, no matter what you find out, you must tell me, she said seriously. Okay, although I don't understand, I don't think Yuanyuan would harm me. Yuanyuan, can you tell me how Xie Zhuling is doing now? Mother said that after a woman gets married, she shouldn't have thoughts of other men, but I just couldn't figure out why I had to enter the palace. The palace is truly boring, and there's the terrifying Xiao Yang. I can't even see my parents. Everything has to go through Xiao Yang's approval. Wanwan, you've broken off the engagement with Xie Zhuling. I've heard all these years he never married, always stationed at the frontier. He just won a battle recently and is returning to the capital to receive his rewards. He should make it in time for the palace banquet. If you want to see him, I'll help you. I really want to remember what exactly happened over these past few years, but the more I try, the more my head aches. Yuanyuan told me not to force myself. After drinking the medicine, I went to sleep. I dreamed of Xie Zhuling. He has grown taller and tanned. He walked alone into the rain. And no matter how I called out to him, he never looked back. Xie Zhuling, you lied to me. Didn't you say that if I called you my lord, you would marry only me? Why do you want to break off the engagement with me? If you wanted to marry Xie Zhuling, why did you enter the palace, from beginning to end? Have you always thought of me as a fool? Xie Zhuling's figure vanished, and before my eyes, it had somehow turned into Xiao Yang. His grip on my hand was so tight. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't break free. I was so anxious I started to cry. I don't want to enter the palace at all. I hate you. I hate you. When I woke up in the middle of the night, my face was sticky and wet, the curtain was blown open by the wind, and the surroundings were empty. But the latter part of the dream felt too real, so I got up to look for Chuanshu. Chuanshu, however, said she had been keeping watch outside and saw nothing. Indeed, Xiao Yang dislikes me so much. He probably wouldn't come to see me in secret. Seeing father, mother, and my elder brother, I was taken aback. Father and mother had aged considerably, and my elder brother had become the very image of the adults we used to talk about in our childhood. How has Her Majesty the Empress been feeling lately? A miscarriage is hard on a woman's body. She must take good care of herself and nourish her health during this time. Mother's eyes were filled with tears. Yet her words were distant and detached. His Majesty specifically told us that Wanwan has lost her memory. Why do you keep calling her Your Highness? After refuting, my elder brother turned to look at me. I remember Wanwan always said since childhood that she wanted to enter the palace. So, how is it? Is it good living here? My brother's smile was a bit strange, but I couldn't quite put my finger on why. I only remember that he never used to smile like this before. Why did I break off the engagement with Xie Zuling? As soon as the words left my mouth, I saw the expressions on all three of their faces change drastically. Let bygones be bygones. Never bring them up again, Mother hastily reminded. Wanwan, you are now the Empress, and Xie Zuling is a subject. There should be no further connection between you. Do you remember what Father told you during the autumn hunt that year? Xie Zuling's engagement to you is just like that matter. Father, like Mother, spoke with deep sincerity. Wanwan, you've lost your memory and only remember Xie Zuling. At 17, you fell in love with His Majesty at first sight, cried and made a scene to break off the engagement with the Xie family, and begged us to send you into the palace. You and His Majesty are a harmonious couple, but you must never mention Xie Zuling in front of His Majesty, or you'll surely regret it once your memory returns. Duani, Father interrupted him, shaking his head in his direction. This was how Father used to warn elder brother whenever he sensed he was about to cause trouble, and I, too, was highly skeptical of elder brother's words. Father, I'm doing this for Wanwan's own good. My brother defended himself. Wanwan, be good. When has your brother ever lied to you? I looked at my brother's expression, so similar to when we were children, but couldn't bring myself to say okay. For some reason, I always feel wronged when facing them. My nose tingles with sourness, as if tears could fall at any moment. When seeing off my parents and elder brother, Xiao Yang also came. The palace banquet is about to begin. Let's go. He reached out to me, his face unexpectedly breaking into a smile. Your Majesty, why didn't you go to receive? Consort Liu, Yuan said Xiao Yang doesn't like it when I speak carelessly. So I corrected myself. The Empress and I are husband and wife. It is only right that we appear together. Before I could react, Xiao Yang had already taken hold of my hand. I wanted to struggle, but then I thought of that strange dream, and the words my brother had told me. If I really like Xiao Yang, what exactly do I like about him? He wasn't as tall as Xie Zuling before, and now I don't know, but he isn't as good looking as Xie Zuling. When we argue, he doesn't try to comfort me first like Xie Zuling does. His temper isn't as good as Xie Zuling's either. I can't figure it out, and my head is starting to ache again. What are you thinking about? Xiao Yang asked me. I wasn't thinking about anything. No one allows me to mention Xie Zuling in front of Xiao Yang, so I have no choice but to lie. Then why are you frowning? Xiao Yang leaned down, his fingers reaching toward me. I quickly blocked and took a step back. His eyes were filled with my panicked expression. Am I really that terrifying? He was somewhat helpless, but did not get angry. I thought you were going to flick my forehead. I lowered my head, feeling a bit guilty. I'm afraid he wants to overthrow me, just like he did with the 7th prince before. What was even more surprising was that Xiao Yang actually smiled. I'm not a child. I don't enjoy these games. This is for you. The attendant behind him handed me a few oil paper bags containing candied hawthorn skewers, fried shrimp cakes, and hibiscus cakes. These are all my favorites. Why are you treating me to these? As the saying goes, unearned kindness is either deceptive or thievish. Consider it a reward for being so well behaved these past 2 days. I nodded with partial understanding and ate a little of each dish, partly because I was genuinely a bit hungry, and partly because I was afraid that if I didn't eat, Xiao Yang would get angry again. The palace banquet was quite similar to the one I attended the first time I came to the palace, only this time, I was seated at the highest position, able to see all the guests clearly. Finding Xie Zuling was not a difficult task. Perhaps, even before this, we had already met in a dream. Just like in the dream, he had grown taller and tanner, and more weathered. I told myself I couldn't cry at the palace banquet, but my eyes wouldn't listen. Afraid that Xiao Yang might see me, I left the banquet early. The imperial garden was still as vast as before. Wandering around and losing my way, I ended up hiding among the rockeries to cry. I asked Yuanyuan what it feels like to grow up. She said it's about hiding your emotions. For me, it's just too hard. Thump, thump, thump. Someone is knocking outside. I followed the sound and saw Xie Zhuling, who had poked half his head in. Only he could still find me. Wanwan, what's wrong? Xie Zhuling was startled by my tear-streaked face. He leaned in and wiped away my tears. I grabbed his hand, just like when he used to sneak me out of the mansion to watch shadow puppet shows. Xie Zhuling's hand had grown larger and rougher. I'm sorry, they say I'm a villain. I fell for Xiao Yang and broke off the engagement with you. I even fought with Yuanyuan over Xiao Yang and opposed her at every turn. Xie Zhuling, why have I become so wicked? Xie Zhuling furrowed his brow and grasped my hand in return. Wanwan, who told you all this? What has happened to you recently? I only remember that I fell into the lake while flying a kite, and you swam over to save me. When I woke up, I had become a consort in the palace. The imperial physician said I had lost my memory from falling down the steps. Xie Zhuling's eyes were slightly red as he embraced me. I'm sorry, it's my fault for not being by your side. They're all lying. Our Wanwan is the best girl in the world, not bad at all. His eyes were shining, like stars in the sky. Don't you hate me? They all say I was the one who called off the engagement. My head began to ache again. Countless images flashed by, yet I couldn't grasp a single one. I only remember that in the end, Xie Zhuling was crying. He said, Wanwan, you lied to me. Xiao Yang finally managed to break away from the banquet and rushed to the imperial garden, only to find Zhao Yumei having fainted. Xie Zhuling and Liu Ningyue were by her side. Both of their expressions were grim, as if they had just had an argument. What just happened? Xiao Yang hurried over. Your Majesty, this servant does not know. The eunuch secretly broke into a cold sweat. Not understanding why the emperor had suddenly taken an interest in the empress, Xiao Yang paid no attention to Xie Zhuling and Liu Ningyue, and directly carried Zhao Yumei away. The sky gradually darkened, and the glow of the sunset fell upon her face. Her makeup was mostly washed away by tears, revealing her truest face. He had never looked at her so intently before. Before Zhao Yumei lost her memory, Xiao Yang treated her coldly. After Zhao Yumei lost her memory, she avoided him. He promised to let her meet her relatives, all for the sake of fulfilling his own desires. Yesterday, he had already prepared Zhao Duani, and today he brought her the pastries she loved as a child. He thought everything would go smoothly. After all, Zhao Yumei was just a 12-year-old child now, easiest to deceive. But Xiao Yang was wrong, and terribly so. From the moment he noticed Zhao Yumei looking at Xie Zhuling, he was already defeated. Xie Zhuling followed her almost the instant she left. But Xiao Yang could not. Countless eyes at the banquet were fixed on him. He was powerless, consumed only by burning jealousy. It was almost laughable. She was already his empress. Yet he was still plagued by insecurity. You were such a crybaby when you were little. Not a single tear was shed for him. No matter. Stealing hearts was something he had always excelled at. When I woke up, the person by my side had become Yuanyuan. Where is Xie Zhuling? You dare mention him? An imperial consort having an affair is a grave crime. Yuanyuan scolded me. Any later, and His Majesty would have arrived. Xiao Yang, he didn't do anything to Xie Zhuling, did he? No. I suppose he knew you were the one who gave him the jujube cakes back then, so he started treating you better. It was His Majesty who carried you back. You can tell he truly cares about you. Yuanyuan seemed a bit disappointed, but I was utterly horrified. Please stop, I'm scared. What are you afraid of? Yuanyuan shook her head with a smile. This sachet of yours is dirty. Let me get you a new one. As she spoke, she opened my old sachet, along with the spices. A rolled-up note was also poured out. I quickly covered it and gave her a meaningful look. All of you may leave. I have something to discuss with Her Majesty the Empress. Only after the palace attendants had departed did I dare tell Yuanyuan. It was left for me by Xie Zhuling. He has enjoyed playing these kinds of tricks since childhood. When he came to play with me, he would intentionally leave things behind at the Zhao residence. So he'd have an excuse to come again the next day. Later on, he started stuffing things into my pouch and sachet, asking me to wait for him in the side courtyard at a fixed time so he could sneak me out to play. I unfolded the note. It was a string of numbers. They likely corresponded to characters from different pages and columns of a book. I walked to the bookshelf and took out the book that Xie Zhuling and I had always used to exchange secret codes. The final deciphered characters are: interrogation of the southern Chu captives has confirmed that Yang Ju was betrayed. I was startled. Jiao Yangju was the adopted son of Yuanyuan's father. Back when we lay on the same bed, talking about the kind of man we wanted to marry, Yuanyuan mentioned Jiao Yangju. Soon, the characters for Yangju were blurred by falling teardrops. So you've been having Xie Zhuling investigate this matter all along, even you noticed, but I was foolish enough to hold a grudge against you for so many years. The question that had remained unasked finally found its answer. Jiao Yangju was betrayed and died on the battlefield, so Yuanyuan married Xiao Yang, but I can't understand what this has to do with me marrying Xiao Yang. I could only comfort Yuanyuan, just as she comforted me. It's okay, you have Xiao Yang now. He is also very good to you. Yuanyuan laughed, tears falling with her laughter, smudging the ink. Gradually, the words on the paper became blurred, just like when we were kids. I let Yuanyuan stay and sleep with me. Wanwan, do you still like Xie Zhuling now? Of course I do. I blurted it out almost instantly. But I have already entered the palace. The thought of having to stay here for half a lifetime makes me sad. But at least I have you here with me. Do you want to leave and be with Xie Zhuling? Yuanyuan asked me again, with a persistent, probing tone. Yuanyuan, I may have amnesia now, but I haven't lost all my memories. You just said that a palace consort having an affair is a serious crime. I don't want anything to happen to him. Don't worry, I won't let anything happen to you. She hugged me, her tone even more serious than mine. Banditry in the south gave Xiao Yang a reason to transfer Xie Zhuling away from the capital. These past few days, Xiao Yang often visited the noble consort. The reason was simple. Zhao Yumei had always liked to cling to the noble consort's side. Even though he brought her many little trinkets and the pastries she often ate as a child, but she still avoided him at all costs. Xiao Yang suddenly missed the times when Zhao Yumei had pretended to be affectionate toward him. She would wait for him outside the imperial study and seek him out before the palace banquets began. As long as he was by her side, she wouldn't look at any other man, although it was just a false show of affection. It was still much easier to accept than the genuine disgust of the present. Another day after the morning court session, Xiao Yang hurried to Zhao Yumei's bedchamber with the Osmanthus balls sent by Xie Duani, all because Zhao Yumei had mentioned the night before that it had been a long time since she last tasted the Osmanthus balls made by Lady Zhao. Her Majesty the Empress has just fallen asleep. Your Majesty has come at an unfortunate time. Xiao Yang first saw Consort Liu. It's fine. I'll wait for her to wake while reviewing the memorials. As he spoke, Xiao Yang handed the food box to Chuanxu, reminding her to keep it warm at all times. His Majesty has been very attentive to the Empress lately. The imperial consort naturally noticed the clues. This expression of hers was all too familiar to Xiao Yang. Every time she went to appease the Zhao family by visiting Zhao Yumei, she was exactly like this. After all, the Empress has shown me kindness. She lost her child before and now suffers from amnesia. Why are you getting angry with a child? Xiao Yang remembered the unborn child he had with Zhao Yumei. He learned of the child's existence at the very moment it was lost. At the time, it was said that the imperial consort had pushed the Empress down the steps. He has always favored the noble consort and even more so did not want Zhao Yumei to give birth to this child. But now, Xiao Yang is thinking, if only that child were still here. Would she have treated him differently because of the child, or perhaps, she never wanted this child at all? At this thought, Xiao Yang's eyes dimmed slightly. Does your Majesty think I am jealous? The imperial consort asked him with a smile. I have long since reconciled with Her Majesty the Empress. Moreover, she lowered her head, placing her palm over her abdomen. I am with child, so I would never compete for favor with someone as childish as Zhao Yumei. Xiao Yang breathed a sigh of relief. If it were a few years ago, Xiao Yang would not have wished to have a child. The power of the Liu and Zhao families is too great. One misstep could endanger oneself. If a woman comes from a humble background, though she poses no threat, her child will not fare well either, just like Xiao Yang herself in the past. But now it's different. Zhao Yumei lost her memory, and Liu Ningyue's father was seriously ill and resigned from his post. This child came at just the right time. Zhao Yumei woke up. She was overjoyed when she saw the Osmanthus balls. but her hand stopped the moment she met Xiao Yang's gaze. She was still afraid of him. "Your servant pays respects to your majesty." As she spoke, she made to rise and bow to him. "Since you are still unwell, there is no need for formalities." Xiao Yang wanted to help her up, but she hid behind Liu Ningyue once more. She still relied on Liu Ningyue the most. Xiao Yang sighed in frustration. "I still have state affairs to attend to, noble consort. You stay with the Empress." By the time he reached the door, Xiao Yang was already growing impatient. "How is the progress of suppressing the bandits in the south?" "Your Majesty, the agents have already been placed inside. It's still too slow." Xiao Yang thought to himself. "Your Majesty." Liu Ningyue hurried out after him. "Your Majesty, next time you come, bring a kite." Wanwan loves flying kites, so Zhao Yumei's childhood name was Wanwan. A kite wasn't difficult. He could make one for her himself. "Okay," Xiao Yang agreed, a trace of bitterness unexpectedly welling up in his heart. In the palace, Zhao Yumei relies most on Liu Ningyue. What if Liu Ningyue is no longer here? Zhao Yumei has not yet regained her memory, but she is only childlike in nature. The Liu family has already fallen from power, and there is no longer any possibility of using the child to threaten him, under Xiao Yang's arrangements. The Zhao residence has also declined significantly in recent years. Once Liu Ningyue's child is born, the former court can no longer use his lack of an heir as an excuse to force others into the palace. No one will be able to disturb him and Zhao Yumei anymore. So many things have happened this month. Yuan Yuan told me that Xie Zuling was sent by Xiao Yang to suppress the bandits. She also said that once he returns from suppressing the bandits, he will take me away from the palace. I think she's just fooling a child, but I can't find any evidence. Yuan Yuan is pregnant. I think my prescription worked. There's another strange thing. Xiao Yang seems to be possessed. He comes every day to bring me delicious food and fun things. Yesterday, he sent me a kite, saying he made it with his own hands. When he handed it over, I could see the wounds on his hands. Yuan Yuan said that if I want to leave with Xie Zuling, I need to treat Xiao Yang better, so I accepted the kite he gave me. During the autumn hunt, I flew a kite with him. Xiao Yang wasn't as skilled as Xie Zuling at flying kites, and soon the string broke, and the kite flew away. Xiao Yang looked a bit disappointed, but I was very happy. Finally, I don't have to play with him anymore. Yuan Yuan, why can't we just fly away like kites? Just wait a little longer. She smiled to comfort me, then lowered her head to continue embroidering. I was still fooled by Yuan Yuan. Xie Zuling won't come to take me away anymore. He died under the bandits' blades. It was my elder brother who came to the palace specifically to tell me. He also said, "Wanwan, he's already a dead man. Don't keep thinking about him and making yourself suffer for nothing. Xie Zuling didn't have to die, it was you who caused his death. If you don't listen to His Majesty again, everyone in the Zhao residence will die as well." I had a headache, and by the time Yuan Yuan rushed over, the pain was so severe I could no longer make out people's figures. Wanwan, Wanwan, are you alright? Yuan Yuan, I remember everything now. I am
At her side, he could clearly sense that Zhao Yumei's guard had lowered. She even began to smile at him. Indeed, a child's heart is much easier to deceive. It would be better if she never regained her memory. There would be no one else in the palace from now on. He only needed her. Liu Ningyue's child arrived earlier than expected. Xiao Yang and Zhao Yumei stood guard outside together. She was worried, and Xiao Yang also had his brows furrowed just like her. Everything was under Xiao Yang's control, but the imperial physician came to report that Liu Ningyue's condition was not good. Along with the smell of blood came the cry of a baby. As the previous imperial physician had said, it was a prince. The noble consort is hemorrhaging severely. She may pass away at any moment. Before the physician could finish, Zhao Yumei rushed inside. Xiao Yang followed closely. Yuan Yuan, how are you? WN, I might not be able to stay with you any longer. Liu Ningyue held Zhao Yumei's hand. From now on, let my child keep you company. I don't want this. You are not allowed to sleep. Zhao Yumei cried. Your Majesty, don't you have a very skilled imperial physician? Let him save Yuan Yuan, Wanwan. The imperial physician has already done everything he can. Xiao Yang comforted her. In the future, we will be together. Before he could finish his words, Xiao Yang felt a sharp pain in his heart. He was about to say something more, but collapsed weakly to the ground. Quite a surprise, isn't it, Your Majesty? A faint flush of color returned to Liu Ningyue's pale face. It should have been me who died, but now it's you. Xiao Yang couldn't understand why his plan had been ruined. He wanted to call for help, but no sound came out. You had the imperial physician tamper with my prenatal medicine, so I would die of weakness after giving birth. But your majesty, Physician Ju was a disciple of my grandfather. His life was saved by my grandfather. When this poison takes effect, the heart will ache unbearably. You should also taste the pain of Yang Ju back then. Only then did Xiao Yang realize that Liu Ningyue had found out. He endured the pain and crawled to Zhao Yumei's feet, only to be kicked away by her. I've long remembered, Your Majesty, to your disappointment, these days by your side, I've felt nothing but disgust. Fortunately, you ate all those poisoned pastries, and thanks to you holding my hand for so long just now, otherwise the catalyst wouldn't have taken effect. Zhao Yumei looked at him, the loathing in her eyes barely concealed. It turned out she had been putting on an act with him all along. But he had clearly been so good to her, he had even thought of having only her in the harem from then on. In his dying moments, Xiao Yang didn't even have the strength to open his eyes. He heard Liu Ningyue and Zhao Yumei hypocritically calling out, His Majesty has fainted. He always prided himself on being skilled at manipulating people's hearts, yet in the end, he died because of them. Consort Liu suffered a massive hemorrhage during childbirth, and the emperor, overly worried, was struck by a heart condition and passed away without recovery. Only a few days after the emperor's passing, the empress, unable to bear the thought of him being lonely in the afterlife, took her own life by the sword. Consort Liu, with her newborn prince, ascended to the throne, transforming into the Empress Dowager who ruled from behind the curtains. Who wouldn't think Lady Liu is quite the strategist after hearing this? This was the very discussion Yuan overheard when she came to see Xie Zhuling and me off as we left the capital. Are you sure you don't need us to stay and help? I was a bit worried and hesitated to get on the carriage. You have already helped me so much. It was all because I was deceived by Xiao Yang that I delayed you for so many years. The rest of the journey, I want to walk on my own. Yuan held me tightly and whispered in my ear, If I miss you, I'll say it in a letter. Want to teach me to embroider a sachet? I took her words and shared a smile with her. Xie Zhuling, don't make Wan cry anymore. She has shed enough tears over the years. Also, remember to brew the medicine for her on time with the prescription I gave you. If I return to the capital next year and find Wan has lost weight, you'll be in for it. Yes, I humbly obey the Empress Dowager's decree, Xie Zhuling responded, handing a pearwood box to Yuan. These are the relics from Yangju that I've found over the years. I believe he would have wanted me to give them to you. Thank you. Yuan held the box in her arms. It's getting late. You should set off now. As she spoke, she signaled to Xie Zhuling to help me into the carriage. Another autumn had arrived, and the cool breeze lifted the carriage curtain. I leaned out and saw Yuan smiling and waving at me. That autumn day, she left the capital to visit her family. And I went to see her off, just like this. Year after year, we will always meet again. Liu Ningyue side story. Liu Ningyue had always envied Zhao Yumei. Her parents were deeply in love, and she had an older brother who always protected her. Unlike her, her father had many concubines and often resented her mother for not bearing him a legitimate son. But none of that mattered, her mother said, as long as she married someone who truly loved her. Fortunately, she met Jiao Yangju. He would stand up for her when her half-siblings bullied her. He would buy her the jewelry that her father couldn't afford to give her. While lying with Wan and dreaming about the future, she said she wanted to marry Jiao Yangju. She didn't care about his military achievements, his rank, or whether he was wealthy. She only needed him to love her, to treat her sincerely. In this life, he must be good to her and her alone. But it seemed as if the heavens always enjoyed playing tricks on her. On his final campaign, Jiao Yangju said, Wait for me to return victorious and marry you. He never made it back. For the first time, she defied her parents, mounted a horse, and rode straight to the border. He was captured by enemy forces after being struck by an arrow and tortured to death. Not even the remains could be found. She used to laugh at Wan for being prone to tears. But that day, for the first time, she couldn't hold back her own. She wept by the city wall for so long that the soldiers above could no longer bear to watch and came down to console her. It was only later that she learned he was no ordinary soldier, but the sixth prince, Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang treated her very well, and her father also liked him a great deal. But Liu Ningyue knew well that whether it was a prince or an emperor, neither could marry only one person. At first, she rejected Xiao Yang, yet he did not lose heart. Nor did he pressure her for an immediate answer. Even he understood her concerns. He said he would love only her. After returning to the capital, she told Wan about it. At that time, Wanwan was trying on her wedding dress, the red gown making her look even more radiant and captivating. At that time, Liu Ningyue thought, they were all preparing to marry the men they loved. How wonderful! But things did not go as wished. The Zhao family also wanted the empress's position. Xiao Yang told her that Grand Tutor Zhao held considerable prestige in the court and had countless disciples. Xiao Yang had just ascended the throne, and his foundation was unstable. Liu Ningyue understood, yet she hated Zhao Yumei. Zhao Yumei clearly knew how much she loved Xiao Yang, clearly knew her long-cherished wish, yet she still insisted on competing with her for the position of empress in the years after entering the palace. Zhao Yumei had a very difficult time. Xiao Yang treated her with extreme coldness, and his occasional harshness made her life as precarious as walking on thin ice. Liu Ningyue never expected that she would use a child to frame her. She fell backward down the steps. To outsiders, it looked as if Liu Ningyue had pushed her. Fortunately, Xiao Yang believed her and didn't want the child either. Unfortunately, Zhao Yumei had lost her memory. Her memory remained stuck at the age of 12. When they were each other's best friends, after losing her memory, Zhao Yumei became difficult to deal with. Despite Liu Ningyue's cold responses, she kept calling her Yuanyuan over and over. Her heart softened on a rainy night when she sleepwalked right in front of Liu Ningyue. In her hand was the wooden hairpin that Liu Ningyue had given her years ago. It wasn't until Liu Ningyue saw the prescription she had written for her. She had foolishly believed it was a formula to help women conceive. Liu Ningyue's grandfather was once a royal physician, so she understood medicine. Therefore, she recognized the purpose of those two prescriptions at a glance. One was a contraceptive formula, the other an abortifacient. Only then did she realize how gravely mistaken she had been. Zhao Yumei had never thought of competing with her for anything. The one who had changed was never her, but himself. But she never expected that all of this was not a scheme of the Zhao family, but of Xiao Yang's. It was he who, to satisfy his own ambitions, altered the lives of both of them. Yet she could no longer leave, but she could return Wanwan's life to her.